right. So, hello everyone. This is Miss Chi. Hope everyone is doing well. Once again, do want to remind everyone to be logging into the video conference for the classes, please. If you're having some sort of trouble, please reach out to Bola. She's willing to assist you in making sure that you can get in on this so that you can ask these questions and you have one-on-one guidance, live guidance with me. I hope everybody is doing well. I hope we're all staying safe and just keep on pushing. You all are strong, powerful individuals. Just keep on pushing and keep on living. Do not let this bring you down. Find ways to create joy for yourself. That's something that my mom used to say. Simple things like watching TV with your family, drawing, coloring with your family. These are things that could just, be that little sense of joy that you get during these times, but know that we are all in this together and we are all going to pull through strong together. Right? So let's go ahead and get started. All right. Apologize. Feeling kind of a little bit under the weather today, but I'm still ready to get started. So first of all, I want to remind everyone to please, please, please make sure that you're looking at the stream page of the lab classroom on Google Classroom. Okay, a lot of important information is on here. A lot of important information. I want to make sure that you guys are up to date with everything that's going on. Yes, we're sending out texts and we're trying to get to you, but also make sure that you check your stream page too as well. Okay, it's going to be like an announcement hub for us. Okay, another thing too that I want to bring your attention to is our Facebook site that you have to visit. Please make sure that you make it a priority to visit this page. And it has to be this page, a page that looks like this, that has this picture on there. So make it a priority to visit this page, like it. As you can see, I've liked it, like it, write a review about it. And guess what? When you write a review, guess what happens? It counts as a resource event for you. And that's the thing is that, this resource events are still counting. So you want to make sure that you get that in order to as well. So go to this page, Crystal House Door South, and make sure that you're liking it, you're following it, and you are writing a review too as well. Remember, write a review and you get your resource event checked off. And also you can write encouraging words, to your teachers too, and to everybody else, to your other classmates and other people in school. Write encouraging messages, stuff like that, because we really need a lot of joy during this time. Okay, so don't forget the Facebook. And I will also count it as bonus points for you. If you're able to do this and show me proof that you did it, I will count this as bonus points for you. And we all need this. We all need these bonus points. Okay, so moving forward, actually, not even bonus points. It's going to be one of your assignments. Okay, so please, 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 please remember. Sorry, that skipped my mind. It is one of your assignments for you to do for this week. So please remember that you go to this page, like it, write a review. That's going to be one of your assignments too, as well for me for this week. I'm going to post it in the classwork page too, as well, so that you can remember. Right. Also, too, as well, make sure that we are looking at our assignments. Make sure we're looking at our assignments and we're keeping up to date with that, especially the current assignment. Not a lot of people have handed in their stuff for that. So make sure that we're doing that too as well. Okay. All right. Well, another announcement too as well, which I will put on the stream page. We're going to be having a resource, the resource center, Google Classroom too as well. I'm going to be sharing the code with you on the stream page, so please make sure you look at that in your classroom, in your stream page, in your Google Classroom, and make sure that you are adding that class too as well. All right. Go ahead and get started. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've been talking about the Great Depression for a minute. And really, that was to prepare us for the next, for the book that we're going to be reading, which is called Bud Not Buddy. Now, Bud Not Buddy took place during this time of the Great Depression. And as you know from some of the reading that we've been reading, the articles, you know that it was not a great time for the United States, right? Um, the economy was low, money was gone, banks are failing, people became homeless, a lot of poverty was happening in the United States, a lot of unemployment too was happening in the United States, which it was not a fun time at all. First thing we want to do is let's really think about this setting. So, like I said, the setting of Button Up Buddy takes place during this time. Okay. Um, and I wanted to kind of um, read a couple of these things from this article that I found to help us out with the setting. Now, the setting is where a story takes place. So the location that it takes place. It's like when you're watching a movie, right? They usually have different locations where the story takes place. So just like it says here, so the setting refers to where and when the story takes place. Also has to do with the time period too. Understanding a book setting can help you understand the events and characters' actions in the story. Because when we understand where it was taking place and we understand the time that this was happening, it could help us know why people are acting the way that they acted and why people are making the kind of decisions that they did. For example, a regular kid living in Los Angeles, California in the year 2016 might not think twice before throwing away an unwanted peanut butter and jelly crust. But an orphan living in Flint, Michigan in the 1930s, which was during that time of the Great Depression, would probably be grateful to eat it. Okay. So when we know the setting, when we understand where and when the story takes place, we understand why characters do what they do. It says the historical setting of Button Up Buddy. The novel Button Up Buddy is set in Flint and Grand Rapids, Michigan in 1936. This was right in the middle of the Great Depression, a time when many Americans did not have jobs, lost much of the money they have saved, and had trouble buying even basic necessities like food, clothing, and shelter. And while much of America was struggling, people in Michigan had an even worse time finding work. On average, they were more unemployed or out of work people there than the rest of the country. So very, very trying time, for the country at that time. A little bit more about Flint, Michigan. So it says Button Up Buddy begins in Flint, Michigan. As home to car manufacturers like Buick and Chevrolet, it was one of Michigan's major cities, but it was hit hard by the Depression. Within Flint, we get a glimpse of Bud's foster home, a mission that feeds the poor, and the public library. The foster home is a standalone home, probably 2 bedrooms, with a scary shed in the backyard. The mission is a large building big enough for many people to sit in and eat together at once, but not a warm or friendly place. The public library is Bud's favorite place in Flint. Here, the air is cold, the smell is unlike other places, and the librarians are kind. I want you to look at this picture right here, this little girl. As you can see from the clothes that she's wearing, looks very dirty, right? And not kept. And even it seems like she might not even be wearing shoes, right? This is an example of children that were living in poverty during that time of the Great Depression. It wasn't good for all of us, as you've seen from your reading you were doing. So now let's go ahead and jump into the book. So this PDF version is going to be uploaded for you in your classroom. By Friday, it should be uploaded in there for you so you can go back and reference it and also do the assignments that come with it, okay? For today's purposes, we're going to focus on chapter 1 and chapter 2. Chapter 1. Here we go again. We are all standing in line waiting for breakfast when one of the caseworkers came in and tap, 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 tapped down the line. Uh-oh, this meant bad news. Either they'd found a foster home for somebody or somebody was about to get paddled. All the kids watched the woman as she moved along the line, her high heeled shoes sounding like little firecrackers going off on the wooden floor. Shoot! She stopped at me and said, "Are you Buddy Caldwell?" I said, "It's Bud, not Buddy, ma'am." She put her hand on my shoulder and took me out of line. Then she pulled Jerry, one of the littler boys, over. "Aren't you Jerry Clark?" He nodded. "Boys, good news! Now that the school year has ended, you both have been accepted in new temporary care homes starting this afternoon." Jerry asked the same thing I was thinking. "Together?" She said, "Why, no, Jerry. You'll be in a family with three little girls." Jerry looked like he'd just found out they were going to dip him in a pot of boiling milk. "And but," she looked at she looked at some papers she was holding. "Oh, yes, the Amoses. You'll be with Mr. and Mrs. Amos and their son, who's 12 years old. That makes him just 2 years older than you, doesn't it, Bud?" "Yes, ma'am," she said. "I'm sure you'll both be very happy." Me and Jerry looked at each other. The woman said, now, boys, no need to look so glum. I know you don't understand what it means, but there's a depression going on all over this country. People can't find jobs, and these are very, very difficult times for everybody. We've been lucky enough to find two wonderful families who've opened their doors to you. I think it's best we show our new foster families that we're very, he dragged out the word, very, waiting for us to finish her sentence for her. Jerry said, "Cheerful, helpful, and grateful." I moved my lips and mumbled. She smiled and said, "Unfortunately, you won't have time for breakfast. I'll have a couple of pieces of fruit put in a bag. In the meantime, go to the sleep room and strip your beds and gather all of your things." Here we go again. I felt like I was walking in my sleep as I followed Jerry back to the room where all the boys' beds were jim jammed together. This was the third foster home I was going to, and I'm used to packing up and leaving. But it still surprises me that there are always a few seconds right after they tell you you've got to go. When my nose gets all runny and my throat gets all choky and my eyes get all stingy. But the tears coming out doesn't happen to me anymore. I don't know when it first happened, but it seems like my eyes don't cry no more. Jerry sat on his bed, and I could tell he was losing the fight not to cry. Tears were popping out of his eyes and slipping down his cheeks. I sat down next to him and said, "I know being in a house with three girls sounds terrible, Jerry, but it's a lot better than being with a boy who's a couple of years older than you. I'm the one who's going to have problems. The older boy is going to want to fight. Those little girls are going to treat you real good. They're going to treat you like some kind of special pet or something." Jerry said, "You really think so?" I said, "I trade you in a minute. The worst thing that's going to happen to you is that they're going to make you play house a lot. They'll probably make you be the baby and will hug you and do this kind of junk to you." I tickled Jerry under his chin and said, "Gaga goo goo, baby." Jerry couldn't help but smile. I said, "You're going to be great." Jerry looked like he wasn't so scared anymore, so I went over to my bed and started getting ready. Even though it was me who was in a lot of trouble, I couldn't help but feel sorry for Jerry. Not only because he was going to have to live around three girls, but also because being 6 is a real rough age to be at. Most folks think you start to be a real adult when you're 15 or 16 years old, but that's not true. It really starts when you're around 6. It's at 6 that grown folks don't think you're a cute little kid anymore. They talk to you and expect that you understand everything they mean, and you'd best understand too. If you aren't looking for some real trouble, because it's around 6 that grown folks stop giving you little swats and taps and jump clean up to giving you slugs that'll knock you right down and have you seeing stars in the middle of the day. The first foster home I was in taught me that real quick. 6 is a bad time too, because that's when some real scary things start to happen to your body. It's around then that your teeth start coming loose in your mouth. You wake up one morning and it seems like your tongue is the first one to notice that something strange is going on. Because as soon as you get up, there it is, pushing and rubbing up against one of your front teeth. And I'll be doggone if that tooth isn't the littlest bit wiggly. At first, you think it's kind of funny, but the tooth keeps getting looser and looser. And one day, in the middle of pushing the tooth back and forth and squinching your eyes shut, you pull it clean out. It's the scariest thing you can think of because you lose control of your tongue at the same time. No matter how hard you try to stop it, it won't leave the new hole in your mouth alone. It keeps digging around in the spot where the tooth used to be. You you tell some adult about what's happening, but all they do is say it's normal. Can't be too sure though, because it shakes you up a whole lot more than grown folks think it does when perfectly good parts of your body commence to loosening up and falling off of you. Unless you're as stupid as a lamppost, you've got to wonder what's coming off next? Your arm, your leg, your neck? Every morning when you wake up, it seems a lot of your parts aren't stuck on as good as they used to be. 6 is real rough. That's how old I was when I came to live here in the home. That's how old I was when mama died. I folded the blanket and sheet and set them back on the mattress. Then I reached under the bed to get my suitcase. Most of the kids in the home keep their things in a paper or cloth sack, but not me. I have my own suitcase. I set it on the mattress and untied the twine that held it together. I did what I do every night before I go to sleep. I checked to make sure everything was there. The way there are more and more kids coming into the home every day, I had to make sure no one had run off with any of my things. First, I pulled my blanket and saw that everything was there. It was supposed to be. At the bottom of my suitcase were the flyers. I took the blue flyer out and looked at it again. The paper was starting to wear out from me looking at it so much, but I liked checking to see if there was anything I hadn't noticed before. It was like something was telling me there was a message for me on this flyer, but I didn't have the decoder ring to read what it was. Across the top of the flyer, written in big black letters, were the words limited engagement. Then, in little letters, it said direct from an SRO engagement in New York City. Underneath that, in big letters, again, it said Herman E. Calloway and the Dusky Devastators of the Depression. Those 6 exclamation points made it seem like this was the most important news anyone could think of. Seems like you'd had to be really great to deserve all of those exclamation points all stacked up in a row like that. Next, the paper said Masters of the New Jazz. Then, in the middle of the flyer was a blurry picture of the man I have a real good suspicion about. I've never met him, but I have a pretty good feeling that this guy must be my father. In the picture, he's standing next to a giant fiddle that's taller than him, It looks like it's real heavy because he's leaning up against it, trying to hold it up. He looks like he's been doing this for a long time. He looks like he's been doing this for a long time, and he must be tired because he has a droopy, dreamy look on his face. There are two men beside him, one playing drums and the other one blowing a horn. It wasn't hard to see what the guy who must be my father was like just by looking at his picture. You could tell he was a real quiet, real friendly, and smart man. He had one of those kind of faces. Underneath the picture, someone had written with a black fountain pen, one night only in Flint, Michigan, at the luxurious 50 grand on Saturday, June 16, 1932. 9 until? I remember Mama bringing this flyer with her when she came from working one day. I remember because she got very upset when she put it on the supper table. I kept looking at it and picking it up and putting it back and moving it around. It was only 6 then and couldn't understand why this one got her so upset. She kept 4 others that were a lot like it in her dressing table, but this one really got her jumpy. The only difference I could see between the blue one and the others was that the others didn't say anything about Flint on them. I remember this blue one too, because it was too long after she brought it home that I knocked on Mama's bedroom door, then found her. I put the blue flyer back in the suitcase with the 4 older ones and put everything back in its place. I went over to the big chest of drawers and took my other set of clothes and put them in the suitcase too. I tied the twine back around my bag, then went and sat on Jerry's bed with him. Jerry must have been thinking just as hard as I was because neither one of us said nothing. We just sat close enough so that our shoulders were touching. Here we go again. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so that was chapter number 1. And I hope that gives you some insight into who Bud might be, what kind of person he is, what kind of personality he has, what kind of character he is. So, what I would like for you to do is for you to go to chapter 2 as well. You can reread chapter 1, but go to chapter 2 as well and read through that. Okay. And when you get into it, it's a pretty good book. But go ahead and read chapter 2. I think it's a couple of pages for chapter 2. Um, and then you're going to be answering these questions that go along with it. First of all, here's some vocabulary that we definitely need to just talk about for a little bit. And we're going to be seeing some of these words in the book or in some of the worksheets that you will have to do. So, for example, we see a word like analyze. So, to analyze means to study or to look closely. So, when reading Button Up Buddy, I'm like a detective looking for the way the author describes Bud. Caseworker is a person who is assigned to a specific children and considers their needs and problems. That he or she may find foster homes or orphans. So just like the caseworker that came in, this is an example. So just like that caseworker that came in and kind of told Bud and Jerry that they were going to a new foster home. That's what it says down here, that we were all standing in line waiting for breakfast when one of the caseworkers came in and tap, tap, tap down the line. Another word, glum. Glum, kind of just like you see with the baby, right? You're gloomy or upset. So for it says, the woman said, now, boys, no need to look so glum, because the boys were looking kind of, like sad and upset, like, oh my God, they have to go through this again. So one could imagine how many times that they have to go into foster care and come out and go back to the foster home, or vice versa, right? We see that it's not their first time. Commence. So when something is commencing, it's the start of something. So to begin, you can't be too sure though, because it shakes you up a whole lot more than grown folks think it does. When perfectly good parts of your body commence to loosening up and falling off of you. Foster home, we went over that too as well. This is an example of a foster home. It's a household in which children that need a home to go to live, right? So that's where they found Bud and Jerry. Twine, and that's when it says that he untied the twine that held it together. So twine is just strong thread or string or cord of two or more strands twisted together. Decoder ring. So a decoder ring is a device that allows someone to decode or figure out a secret message. So sometimes they have secret messages, and that decoder ring actually helps you kind of figure it out. So it's kind of like some police investigative type situation. And I think those are all the words for chapter number 1. I will be posting up the vocabulary sheets for each chapter, as well as a recording of each chapter, and of course the assignments, so that you can listen to the recording as you are reading, and that will help you, kind of, sometimes I like to listen to the audio while I read, so that will help you go through it. I decided to read chapter 1 today for you, just as an introduction to Bud Not Buddy, so that we can talk about it for a little bit. But just a couple of reviews. First of all, we know that the main character is Bud, and we know that he's a young boy in a foster home. And right now, from chapter number 1, we see that he is being taken to new foster parents, and it seems that he's experienced this quite a lot. We also know that his mom died when he was 6 years old, and that's when he was put into foster. And we also know that that's not the first, maybe it's not the second time, but it's something that has happened a lot with him. Okay, that's what we know so far with chapter. Okay. So a couple of things I want you to think about. When you are going to be doing this assignment, I'm going to go ahead and post this assignment. Let me pull that up for you. So as we're reading through this, we're going to ask ourselves, well, who is this person? Who is Bud? What kind of person is he? Sorry about that. Go. That one. So what kind of person is Bud? Right. So there are two things I'm going to post up here. First thing is this sheet, which basically says, after reading chapter 1 and 2, I want you to think of Bud's character traits. Now, character traits are these descriptive words that we use to talk about someone's personality. Who are they? Okay. So far from, chapters 1 and 2, I want you to list and explain two things that you've kind of, figured out about his personality that you've noticed while you were reading. What are two things that you've noticed about his person, right? And of course, how do you know it? What is the evidence? You're going to put what you know about Bud over here in this one, and then you're going to put the evidence from the text. So what does he do in the text that shows you that he's this kind of person? Okay. For example, if you say, I know that Bud is very scared about things, but then you have to tell me, what part in the text actually supports that. What did he do in the text? What did he say in the text that he's scared? If that was an example. Okay, that's just an example. Not the real thing. That's just an example. Okay. Next thing I'm going to put up is this rule worksheet right here. So you're going to have 2 assignments for this week. But knowing that spring break is coming up, I'm going to kind of give you that time. You can use that spring break time to do it if you would like. But I'll go ahead and look at it over next week. I'll look at it on Friday of the next week, just in case you need just a little bit more extra time to look at those things. Okay. So with this one, you're going to read, after reading chapters 1 and 2 again, I want you to think about the different rules that he has. So Bud has these rules that he uses in his life to either survive or thrive. He has these principles that guide him throughout life. And most of the times we have to ask ourselves, well, do these rules help him survive? And to survive basically means to stay alive. You got to do what you got to do just to stay alive. Okay. Or to thrive. Does it help him thrive? So does it make him be a better person? Does it make him grow and be successful? So as you're doing this, you have to, pay attention to the rules. And for each rule that they've listed in 1 or 2, you have to write the rule number down. what the rule is in your own words. So you write the rule number down here, and then what it is in your own words. So explain it to me in your own words, not what the text says. And ask yourself these questions. So which rule is a survival rule? So is it meant to help him survive, or is it meant to help him thrive? Okay. And of course, you need to provide evidence for your thinking. And where do you think this rule came from? So where do you think that this rule came from, right? And what does it tell us about the kind of person that he is? So you're going to answer these questions down here based off of the rules. And I gave you a little hint right here. There are 2 rules in chapter 2. And remember, you're only doing chapters 1 to 2, and there are 2 rules in chapter 2. That's a little hint right there for you. Okay. So all these will be uploaded tomorrow. You will have a week to get these done. They're going to be due next Friday. And next Friday is going to be the 3rd, April 3rd. So April 3rd is when these are going to be due. Okay? And I'll go ahead and put that in the assignment page too as well so that you remember. All right. So thank you everyone once again for watching the video. I do hope to see you in the video conference later on if you're able to kind of hop in. I hope you have a great spring break. Keep on pushing and keep on being fantastic, and know that you are loved, you are cared for, and we are here for you. Okay. I will be seeing everyone back on April the 6th. That's when the next class is going to be, April the 6th, Monday, April the 6th. So remember, spring break, right? We're going into spring break this week. So Monday, April the 6th is the next time that we're going to have online class. And I hope to see you here at 6:15 to 7 p.m. All right, everybody have a wonderful and blessed weekend. And, like I said, try to find joy in this. If we have some healthcare workers, people that still have to go into work, want to say that I really appreciate you. And really thank God for you. I pray that you are always going to be protected, and I pray that you and your family will be safe during this time, and that God gives you the strength to kind of go into work and come back and do it all over again. So thank you to the healthcare workers, people that still have to go out and work. Thank you to those people. Thank you for doing all that, because without you guys, we won't be able to have some of the basic things that we need right now today. So really grateful to you guys for that. Be safe, take care of yourself, and know that we care and we love you. Right? Bye. Until next time, April 6th.